You think you know your life? I thought I knew mine until I was sitting there across a white tablecloth and my own son Derek screamed at me, "Failure, you're a loser." His wife, Sophia, right beside him, laughed a cold, cruel laugh. It was Mother's Day, for crying out loud, in front of everyone at this swanky restaurant in Manhattan. They saw a defeated old woman, the poor little grandma they supported, but they didn't see the tiny gold-edged envelope in my purse, the one that was about to blow up their perfect world in a matter of minutes. I slid my gift across the table. Sophia looked at it with pure contempt. "What is this now? Another one of your pathetic attempts to get attention?" That look, that cold, arrogant shine in her eyes, had always made me feel like a bug she had to tolerate. The guests were watching, waiting for the family humiliation spectacle. But when I spoke, the panic started to creep across their faces. My voice was calm, serene, like ice. "Derek," I said, looking him dead in the eye, "explain to your wife why the $10,000 monthly allowance you receive is going to disappear in the next 5 minutes. I continued, savoring the silence. "And explain to your in-laws, Robert and George, why the $2 million mansion in Beverly Hills where they live and the 3 luxury cars in the garage are going to vanish before this dessert is finished." Sophia's smug smile was melting away. Derek was frozen, fork halfway to his mouth. "And tell your partner, Daniel, why the company you think is yours will be dead before we leave this restaurant." I stood up. That's when the real panic hit. Derek went ghost white. Sophia dropped her wine glass, the red spreading across the white cloth like a bad omen. Derek stammered, "Mom, what are you talking about? You have nothing. We've been supporting you for years. You live off the charity we give you, the $500 a month we send for that tiny house." I smiled, a smile years in the making, a smile that held all the silent pain and all the meticulous planning. "I think it's time you met the real Olivia." The terror in their eyes was pure. They knew something monumental was happening. The golden envelope contained the truth, the original deeds to their Beverly Hills mansion, signed in my name 15 years ago. The titles for the 3 Mercedes-Benz cars, bought with my money, registered under my name through shell companies. And the most devastating document of all, proof that I was the true owner of 80% of Herrera Construction, the company they thought they'd built with their own grit and talent. "Impossible," Sophia whispered, her voice cracking as she read the papers with shaking hands. "This has to be fake. You live in that awful little house in the Oakwood district. You buy used clothes at flea markets." Her perfect world, built on lies and arrogance, was disintegrating. The poor old woman they'd humiliated for years was a multimillionaire who had been watching their every cruel move. Wait. Before I tell you exactly how I pulled off the biggest con of my life, stop and think. Is your life authentic? Are you living on your terms? Don't miss out on the rest of this masterclass in reclaiming power. Hit that subscribe button now. If you don't, tell everyone in the comments why you're choosing to stick with the mundane and miss out on the secrets of success. To understand the beauty of this revenge, we need to rewind 6 months. That's when I made the smartest decision of my life, to become the invisible woman of my own family. I appeared to be exactly what they saw, a 64-year-old grandma living a humble life in my small, deliberately modest home in the Oakwood district. I made my coffee in an old pot, read the newspaper in a worn-out armchair. It was all an act. My son, Derek, 42, was the supposed self-made success. Expensive suits, Swiss watches, a silver Mercedes-Benz, and a mansion in the exclusive Beacon Heights neighborhood. Sophia, 38, was the trophy wife, platinum blonde, acrylic nails, Botox, designer everything, driving her red Mercedes-Benz. Her parents, Robert and George, even lived there, all thanks to Derek's supposed success. Every Sunday, I drove my little white 2010 clunker up to their mansion for the ritual of subtle humiliation. I'd bring a homemade dessert, which was received with fake smiles and condescending sighs. I was seated in the least comfortable chair, served on the oldest plates. My opinions? Ignored. Sophia loved to remind me of my place. $500 a month. I hope it's enough for you, Olivia. We know it's hard to manage money at your age. Derek would drone on about the astronomical cost of living, the $8,000 in property taxes, the $1 to $100 pool maintenance, all to emphasize what a huge effort the $500 they gave me was. The part that broke my heart was how they sold the generous hero's narrative to everyone. Daniel, Derek's business partner, would always tell me, "Evan always tells us how proud he is to be able to take care of you in your old age." But the real cruelty came in the kitchen. After lunch, while the men talked business, Sophia would drag me there. "Olivia," she'd said one day, "these weekly visits are becoming a burden for all of us. Does this ring true? Have you ever felt disrespected by the people who should love you most? Don't let your voice be silenced. Prove that this story matters by hitting like and subscribe. If you scroll away now, you're basically telling me that their cruelty was justified. The humiliations only got worse." One Sunday, I brought a homemade carrot cake with a hopeful smile. Sophia didn't even pretend. She took it to the kitchen and threw the whole box directly into the trash right in front of me. "We have a personal chef," she sneered. "Frankly, your days of being useful in the kitchen are over." Derek's superiority strategy involved constantly talking about money. He'd announce the $2,000 monthly gardener fee and the $800 a week for gas. Then he'd look me in the eye. "That's why, Mom, I hope you understand why we're sometimes late with your allowance." Sophia also perfected social humiliation. She'd introduce me to her friends as a brave woman who gets by on very little money. They'd look at me with that pity and superiority reserved for the less fortunate. They even started assigning me chores, like cleaning windows with a cheap spray. But the final straw came when my usual seat at the main table mysteriously disappeared. In its place, a folding chair in the corner. "Your spot was disrupting the symmetry of the design," Derek explained without looking at me. I was a ghost in my own family, present but invisible. I listened from my corner as they planned $5,000 a night presidential suites in the Bahamas, and I listened as they discussed multi-million-dollar contracts for Herrera construction. Derek would toast with $500 whiskey and lie shamelessly. "I'm most proud of having built all this from scratch." But then the topic of my future came up. "You see what they're capable of. They're planning to exploit her vulnerability. Don't leave me alone to tell this story." The next part reveals their true, horrifying plan. Subscribe right now to show you have my back. If you don't, I'll assume you think the vulnerable deserve to be taken advantage of. "I think Olivia is becoming too much of a burden," Sophia commented one afternoon. "The house where she lives is deteriorating and the neighborhood is becoming dangerous." My world shattered on a Sunday in April when I arrived, and they treated me with terrifying kindness. Sophia ushered me in with a shark's smile, and Derek looked me directly in the eye, saying they wanted to discuss my well-being. "We found the perfect solution for all our problems," Sophia announced with calculated drama. She pulled out a brochure for Sunset Gardens Retirement Community, a place that looked like a 5-star hotel. "It's luxury," she gushed. 24-hour medical service, professional chef, daily activities. Derek leaned in. "We're going to pay for everything, Mom. The monthly fee is $2,500. This sudden generosity, 5 times my supposed allowance, screamed conspiracy. "When would I have to move?" I asked, my voice neutral. "We've already made a tentative reservation for next month," Sophia said, "right after Mother's Day." An ultimatum disguised as a gift. Derek added the sickening kicker. "We've already spoken to a real estate agent about your house. We think we could get about $30,000 if we sell it quickly. That money could cover almost a full year of your stay." But then, the biggest mistake of Sophia's life. She left her phone on the coffee table and a message lit up the screen. It wasn't my intention to spy, but the first lines were chilling. "Did you convince the old hag to go to the nursing home yet?" I took the phone and read the conversation. This is the moment I learned the full extent of their betrayal. If you leave now, you'll never hear the final damning details of their conspiracy. Show your loyalty to this story and to justice by hitting subscribe. Don't be a Daniel who just got cut out of the company. The messages I photographed were like electric shocks. Sophia had written, "The old woman is so desperate to feel loved that she swallowed the whole luxury nursing home story. We'll save money by not having her here every Sunday eating our expensive food." But the message that truly took my breath away. "Dad already spoke to his lawyer friend. He says if you can get her committed for mental incapacity due to age, After 6 months, you can apply for legal guardianship over her and take control of any savings she has. They didn't just want me gone. They planned to have me declared mentally incompetent to steal every last cent of my supposedly small savings. The irony? My net worth exceeded $15 million. I immediately contacted my personal lawyer, Mark Vance. We updated all my legal documents. We compiled all the evidence, the deeds to the mansion under my company, Pacific Investments, Inc., the titles for the 3 cars, and the corporate documents proving I owned 80% of Herrera Construction. Mark had structured it so their true character would be revealed without money clouding the issue. I hired a private investigator, Arthur Miller. He discovered that without my secret $10,000 monthly transfers, Derek and Sophia had zero real income. They were leveraged to the hilt, behind on the mortgage, and the company was a front I secretly financed. Even Daniel's stake was fictitious. Then, the final nail, discrete recording devices planted in the mansion. The recordings confirmed their plan to forge my signature, falsify medical reports, and have me committed to a facility where I'd be medicated until she's a zombie. Mother's Day was 5 days away. The stage was set. I arrived on Mother's Day at noon, wearing a sharp wine-red dress, my mother's pearl necklace, and carrying the golden envelope. The lunch was a setup. They had invited a geriatric specialist, Dr. Ramsey, to witness my supposed cognitive decline. They even seated me at the head of the table, a position of honor only so they could better execute their public execution. The moment came during dessert. Sophia stood up for a toast, announcing my move to Sunset Gardens. Then she dropped the bomb, selling my house to cover the residents' expenses so I wouldn't be a financial burden to anyone. I'd heard enough. I stood up, took the golden envelope, and placed it on the glass table. "Before we continue," I said, my voice cutting through the silence, "I believe there are a few things you all need to know about me." Then I delivered the words you heard at the beginning, each one a precise bullet. "Explain to your wife why the $10,000 monthly allowance is going to permanently disappear in the next 5 minutes. Explain to your in-laws why the $2 million mansion is going to vanish before this dessert is finished. Explain to your partner Daniel why the company you think you built is going to die before we leave this restaurant." Derek stammered, "You don't have any money. We've been helping you for years." "Oh, my dear son," I said, opening the envelope, "allow me to show you exactly what I'm talking about." I put down the deed to the mansion, signed in my name. Daniel knocked over his chair. Then, the titles for the 3 Mercedes-Benz cars. Sophia was hysterical. "You live in that horrible little house." "My little performance," I corrected with a smile. "My real home is a 30,000 square foot penthouse with a panoramic view of the city. My noisy car is a collector's edition Volkswagen. I have a BMW and a Lexus in my private garage." Dr. Ramsey, the specialist there to assess my sanity, watched with astonishment. The final blow, the corporate documents for Herrera Construction. "Daniel, my dear son's partner," I announced. 80% of the company you think you helped build has belonged to me from day one." I then got on my phone and made the call right in front of them. "Marcus, proceed with all the cancellations immediately. Immediate cancellation of all monthly transfers. Eviction notice for the mansion, 30 days to vacate. Revocation of all vehicle permits. The current contracts for Herrera Construction transferred to new management." Then the final absolute silence. I played the recording of Sophia saying I'd be medicated until she's a zombie. "I also have recordings of all your conversations about having me declared mentally incompetent," I finished, watching the oil slick of panic consume their faces. "If you have made it this far, you've witnessed the ultimate family betrayal and the most perfect revenge. Don't let this journey end here. You owe it to yourself, and to me, to finish this story and join the fight against family abuse. Subscribe right now. If you don't, I know for a fact that you will regret not being part of the community that stands up for justice." 3 months later, I was drinking coffee on the terrace of my luxury penthouse in the financial district. This had been my real home for the past 8 years. The empire of lies was ash. Derek and Sophia lost everything, their wealth, their status, their reputation. My life transformed. I walk tall with the confidence of a woman in complete control. I'm taking yoga classes, having dinners with real friends, and I hired a brilliant civil engineer, Elena Martinez, to run Herrera Construction, which is now doubling its projected revenue. But the greatest treasure isn't money, it's the Invisible Women Foundation I established. It's dedicated to helping older women victimized by financial family abuse. We've helped over 200 women regain their financial and emotional autonomy. One of them told me, "You gave me back not only my money but my dignity." I saw Derek 6 months later. He was tired, humble, an insurance salesman. He apologized, but I knew his apology was rooted in regret for the consequences, not the cruelty. The problem, I told him, wasn't that he didn't know I had money. The problem, Derek, is that you decided my opinion, my wishes, my autonomy as a human being didn't matter. I didn't close the door, but I didn't offer reconciliation. Trust is built with consistent action. The best revenge is not destroying those who hurt us, but building something so magnificent, so powerful, so genuinely ours, that their betrayal becomes merely a footnote in the grand story of our lives. I proved that it is never too late to rewrite your story. At 64, I reinvented myself, and that, more than any number in a bank account, is the real treasure. Comment down below, what part of my story impacted you the most? Don't forget to leave a like if you believe more women need to hear this message, that it's never too late to reclaim our power.